True American horror stories. Terrifying events they wish you'd never heard, but now you will.
I'm Caleb Mayfield, 29, and if you Google the phrase true whistling stalker story, Alabama, you'll find me wedged between cryptid podcasts and the evergreen current police blotter, the 10-second clip everyone shares, grainy porch cam, midnight timestamp, 4 eerily precise notes, was recorded at mile marker 96 on Interstate 65, a couple hundred yards from the Exxon Travel Center and the Sleep Inn and Suites off exit 96. That's Conecuh County, South Alabama, Pine Country, where the air smells of resin and hot asphalt. I moved there in March because a $500 rental sounded like a miracle after Birmingham prices. The farmhouse sits on Liberty Hill Drive, exactly 0.33 miles southeast of exit 96. From my porch, you can read the blue food, gas, lodging sign pointing to Chevron, Waffle House, and Econo Lodge. Most nights, the Chevron canopy bathes my face in sickly turquoise light, while 18-wheelers. First Friday on the property, I got off a 12-hour shift at the Firestone on rural Route 15, cracked a long neck, and tried to enjoy the hush. A whistle drifted from the timber across AL-83. 4 notes, rising and falling. It was so casual, I pictured some traveler stretching his legs. But the tune returned Saturday at precisely 12:07 a.m. and again Sunday, impossibly closer, like someone walking the ditch 1 yard nearer each night. On Monday, I anchored my Galaxy S9 to a tripod, screen brightness dimmed, voice recorder blinking red. The frogs cut out at 00:06:55. Gravel popped at 00:07:03 and at 00:07:10 the whistle sliced the dark, pure, metallic, close enough to rattle the porch chain. The file went viral after a Reddit user boosted it on r/nosleep, and now high schoolers use it in TikTok edits. I inspected the yard next dawn. Footprints, bare heel first, no tread, paralleled the chain link, then stopped where the drainage ditch drops toward the interstate. Sheriff Lonnie Watkins shrugged. Probably some hunter spotlighting deer. Except night hunting is illegal in Conecuh, and nobody saw headlights on AL-83. Google Maps satellite view showed that between my fence and the interstate lies a sliver of overgrown real estate. Liberty Hill Lumber, shuttered since 1989. Street View still captures a rusted sign, "Keep out, Whistler." Deep Web Chatter links that sign to Brent Keller, a 17-year-old who vanished April 3rd, 1989, the night he phoned 911, saying, "Somebody's whistling outside my window." That night, I set a Browning trail cam on the deer track behind the porch. Midnight, whistle, and creak like an attic ladder unfolding. One frame saved. Silhouette in a bright orange traffic vest. Head canted, lips puckered. No flashlight, no eye shine. Just that vest reflecting the infrared in a hellish glow. Wednesday, I begged Leela Chen, the grad student archivist at Evergreen Public Library, to run a frequency analysis. Her spectrogram revealed harmonics at 126 hertz, folding back into themselves, a pattern she called formant inversion, overlaid with Brent Keller's final voicemail. The waveforms natched. "It's like the whistle is stretching his name," she whispered. "Sheriff Watkins finally leveled with me over Waffle House coffee." The department fields 1, maybe 2 911 calls a year labeled Exit 96 Whistler. Same narrative. Midnight, 4 notes, caller paralyzed until the melody ends. He slid a Polaroid from 2004 across the laminate. The orange vest figure stood amid a cloud of sawdust, spiraling upward like smoke from a saw blade. Yet no footprints marked the ground. Next morning, I hit the Conecuh County clerk. Liberty Hill Lumber stopped paying taxes the day before Brent disappeared. Owner of record, Margaret Keller, Brent's grandmother, died 2001, leaving no heirs. Yet someone pays the mowing contractor. A crisp path leads from the padlocked gate to a tool shed beside the log pond. On satellite, it's a ruler straight slash of neon green in a sea of darkest pine. Back at the firehouse, I borrowed our DJI Mavic drone. At dusk, I launched from the soybean field. The live feed showed perfectly concentric ripples widening across the log pond, although wind was dead calm. Infrared mapped a cold plume rising from the shed roof, as if heat were being sucked inward. The whistle piped through my Bluetooth headset, precisely in sync with every meter of altitude lost. The controller jerked left, the drone arrowed toward the shed. Then the feed collapsed into green scan lines. It never came back. At dawn, I found the drone's shattered frame laid neatly on my porch rocker. Orange mesh from the traffic vest was woven through the rotors like ribbon. That evening, I refused to sleep at the farmhouse. I booked room 215 at the Sleep Inn. 2nd floor, freeway side. The clerk joked the only other guest that night was some utility worker in a vest. I propped my laptop against the wall and aimed its webcam through the peephole. Set OBS to record, killed the lights, and lay on top of the covers with my Remington across my shins. At 12:04, the lobby sensor doors downstairs hissed open. Security feed. I pulled it later. Shows nobody there, just the doors parting for empty air. The elevator rumbled upward and dinged for a 4th floor, even though the hotel only has 3. A moment later, every hallway light outside my door flickered in sequence, left to right, like dominoes. Then the whistle began, right outside 215, sharper, kettle hot. I shoved a chair under the handle. When the tune finished, a single knock landed, so deep it flexed the steel door. My phone buzzed with a text from an unregistered number. You moved, but the exit stayed. The deputies arrived 13 minutes later. The corridor stank of pine sap and diesel. The night clerk swore no one wearing a vest had checked in, and my OBS file showed rolling static from 11:59 to 12:15, the exact window I needed. Neighbors, the Masons on Ted Bates Road, soon heard the tune. Their 6-year-old Abigail drew a stick figure in crayon. Triangle body, vest stripes, mouth, a hollow zero. She printed beneath in shaky capitals, "He helps the trees walk." That same evening, the longleaf pines between our properties tilted 2 degrees east, as if eager to listen. My final night at the farmhouse, the power died at 11:55. 5 minutes later, a generator in the mill roared awake, diesel fumes drifting across the beans. Though my porch thermometer insisted 91, my breath fogged. At 12:07, the whistler arrived, footsteps crunching shell gravel in perfect tempo. 4 steps, 4 notes. I centered my Remington on the vest's reflective bands. When the song ended, the figure froze, and the pines behind him bowed forward. I pulled the trigger. The muzzle flash bloomed orange, yet the boom was swallowed by the trees like a soundproof room. Inside, drywall nails shivered in their studs. Every plank in the hallway floor flexed as though something massive shifted beneath. I broke the lease that morning and transferred to Pensacola Firestone. 2 quiet months passed. Last week, corporate sent me to Birmingham for ASE training. Habit drove me up I-65. At exit 96, I topped off my tank, just to prove I could. The pump clicked, receipt fluttered out. From the tree line behind Evergreen Travel Center drifted 4 soft notes. Camptown races, stretched like taffy. I forced myself not to look. 90 minutes later, checked into Motel 6 off Lakeshore Parkway in Jefferson County. I found a sheet of Liberty Hill lumber ledger paper slid under the door. 1 sentence, written in orange surveyor's paint. Where do you think exit 97 leads? End story 2. My name's Michelle Hyatt. Search True Babysitter Axe Story, Iowa. And my Reddit AMA pops right up, wedged between a Des Moines Register blurb and 30 TikTok stitches. The night it happened, July 23rd, 2011. I was 18, clutching a flip phone with 1 bar of US Cellular and babysitting in Lucas County, 8 miles southwest of Sheraton, on County Road H32. You can street view the driveway, rust-eaten mailbox 1592. Half a mile of crushed limestone leading to a white farmhouse, cornfields on both sides, and a weather-beaten sign nailed to a cottonwood. Branson family, Est 1919. I'd watched Carter 7 and Emma 5 most Friday nights while their parents worked the late shift at the Hormel plant off US Highway 34. The kid's great-grandfather, Elmer Branson, once ran 40 head of Black Angus. After dementia set in, he hoarded tools in a corrugated metal shed across the county blacktop, padlocked since he died in '95. Locals still call it Grandpa's Shed, as if the old man just stepped out for diesel. At 6:42 p.m., Mrs. Branson left $20 for Casey's Pizza and drove off in the red Silverado. Fireflies stitched the border rows while I served pepperoni on Paw Patrol plates. By 8:15, both kids were out cold on the living room couch, SpongeBob menu looping. Wind rattled the storm windows. Beyond them, corn leaves rasped like denim on sandpaper. 9:03 p.m. A landline call surprised me. No caller ID, just static and a faint wheeze. I snapped. "Hello?" A man replied, voice brittle as hay. "Tell Elmer the axe is sharp." Click. Iowa code 707.6 had just become real in my head. I latched every window, killed the TV glow, and checked the yard. Moonlight silvered the fields. Across H32, a bare bulb flicked on inside Grandpa's shed. A place with no power line since the co-op cut service 16 years ago. Through corrugated gaps, I saw motion. Slow pendulum sweeps, as though someone honed steel on a wheel. I dialed 911. Signal blinked out. No bars. I texted my boyfriend Tyler. "Call cops now. Shed light on." The message showed sending, then disappeared. 9:21. The dolls scraped across the porch boards. I cracked the door. An antique double-bit axe leaned against the jamb, blade gleaming wet. On its hickory handle, burned letters. EB. A sticky note flapped beneath the head. Midnight sharp, 12. Wind gusted, note tore loose, sailed into the night. I dragged the kids upstairs into their parents' bedroom. Only room with a lock. Carter stirred. I lied that coyotes were fighting. From the loft window, I could watch the shed. The bulb dimmed to orange, pulsed, then died. Stars drowned in thunderheads rolling from the southwest. Heat lightning strobed between stalks. At 10:07, headlights bounced aloft. H32, Sheriff Deputy Maxton's Ford Explorer. Tyler must have called. I rushed downstairs, but before I reached the latch, the cruiser U-turned and sped off. Later, I learned dispatch canceled. They claimed a second call from me. Said, false alarm. I never made that call. Storm sirens wailed out of Cheriton at 10:50. Severe thunderstorm alert. Rain arrived sideways, hammering tin roofs, saturating the soybeans across the road. That's when the shed bulb reignited, brighter than a halide flood. Lightning revealed a silhouette inside. Hunched shoulders, rain slickered, axe haft resting across the neck like a yoke. I whispered Psalm 23, but the power cut. Router lights dying. House black. 11:08. The humid silence snapped under a metallic clink. Someone tested the front doorknob. The deadbolt shivered once, twice, then withdrew. Heavy breaths funneled through the keyhole. I smelled silage and transmission fluid. Footfalls retreated toward the kitchen, then down cellar stairs I didn't know existed. Old boards whined, stone on stone grated, like a wall sliding. Upstairs, Emma whimpered she needed the bathroom. I dared crack the door. A string of phosphorescent green footprints tracked along the hallway, glowing where raindrops diluted fluorescent marking paint. The prints stopped at a floor vent outside the children's bedroom, then vanished. Midnight drew near. Thunder receded, leaving constant drizzle. At 11:59, the shed light snapped off. A generator whirred to life beneath the house. Elmer's tornado generator, I guessed, but its rhythm sounded wrong. Like two strokes, then a pause, mirroring a human cough. Floorboards buckled, as if someone slammed a maul from below. The entire house shifted, a half-inch, picture frames tilting east. The bedroom clock radio, unplugged, flared 12 a.m. A voice, same brittle hay tone, croaked through its speaker. Time to split wood, Michelle. Carter screamed. I grabbed Tyler's aluminum bat from my duffel and led the kids to the ensuite bath. We huddled in the tub, shower curtain shielding nothing. Knuckles rapped the wall opposite the mirror. 4 knocks, a pause, 4 knocks. Then metal squealed, maybe the shed door, followed by a wet thwack that carried clear despite the storm. Sirens again. Closer, red-blue strobes wobbled against the ceiling. Sheriff Jenkins himself battered the front door at 12:07. House empty, he said. Safe for us, and 2 inches of water pooling in the cellar from a burst pipe. The floor vent corridor led nowhere. Jenkins found no generator, no footprints except mine, and small bare kid prints. They did find the axe, buried 3 inches deep in the cellar's oak support post, as though the blade fell from above. Forensics lifted no prints, but wood age rings on the half-natched trees felled on the property pre-1940. The shed contained only sealed crates of rusted plowshares, power lines still cut. That glowing bulb, empty socket. My voicemail bore 1 new recording, timestamp 12:04 a.m. Scraping steel, and a voice humming, "I've been working on the railroad." Cell towers logged the call from a number assigned to an Iowa telecom landline deactivated in 1995, Elmer's last year. I left Iowa State after freshman orientation. Haven't babysat since. The Branson kids moved to Ankeny. Mrs. Branson bulldozed the shed in 2013. Yet dispatcher logs show sporadic 911 calls pinging from the cornfield where it stood. Always July 23rd. Always around midnight. The caller says only, "Tell Elmer the axe is sharp." Last month, en route to Omaha on I-80, traffic detoured me along US 34. I passed the Casey's in Chariton for gas. Pump 6 spat out a blank receipt, except for a single line in fluorescent green. Midnight, sharp, 12 o'clock. My phone lit with a voicemail notification. Same brittle voice. Steel keeps edge if you keep the story alive. Over the roar of passing grain trucks, I swear I heard a wet, looping thwack as his grandpa's shed still breathed under a sky long cleared of rain. Story 3, I'm Elena Sosa, 26. And if you Google True Creepy Mint Candy Lore Story, Route 66, Arizona, my recount floats right under a Travel Channel clip about haunted roadside diners. unfolded. July 5th, 2019, in Kingman, Mojave County. Exit 53, off Interstate 40, where Andy Devine Avenue and historic Route 66 run double yellow, past neon motels and truck stop churches. That afternoon, a blistering 108 Fahrenheit registered on the Walgreens marquee. I drove my 10-year-old brother Mateo to the Desert Wonder Park Summer Kids program at Lewis Kingman Park. The entrance sits across from the Hilltop Motel, 3029 East Andy Devine. Train horns from the BNSF main line echo between the Wallaby Mountains and the Cerulean Motel 6 sign at Stockton Hill Road. All verifiable. Street view the curve, and you'll still see the mural of a turquoise Chevy Bel Air. Program check-in ran late, so the kids scattered across the playground. Around 2:30, I noticed two figures beside the abandoned Santa Fe caboose on display near the picnic shelter. Both wore oversized black hoodies despite the heat, hoods up, faces shadowed. They held plastic grocery bags and whispered to each child who wandered close. Several kids, including Mateo, returned nibbling bright green leaves the strangers had labeled Wild Route 66 Peppermint. A counselor finally confronted them. They drifted toward the pedestrian footbridge spanning the tracks and vanished into the arroyo. I chalked it up to desert weirdos until 9-year-old Ava Green collapsed, puking menthol foam. EMTs transported her to Kingman Regional. Lab tests later found no mint, only piperitone oxide, an industrial solvent with a wintergreen odor. Park management combed the arroyo and caught a whiff of mint 30 yards south, where the footbridge meets an abandoned spur named Mojave Wash Siding. Evidence: footprints size men's 8, Converse, and spray-painted arrows pointing east toward Gap Canyon Trailhead off State Route 68. Deputies marked the arrows, but monsoon clouds rolled in and washed tracks clean. That night, Mateo wouldn't touch dinner, said his belly was cold inside. At 11:42, he sleepwalked onto the motel balcony, humming a tune I'd never heard. 4 descending notes, same interval as the Route 66 jingle they play at the visitor center. Mom caught him balancing on the railing, eyes closed, sniffing the air like he could smell a garden no one else sensed. Next morning, we returned to Kingman Park for answers. Rangers had cordoned the caboose. A residual mint scent hung in the vented windows. My phone buzzed with an airdrop request from unknown. Try the source. Attached map screenshot showed a blue pin at milepost 21 on Oatman Highway, SR10, a winding section of original Route 66, famous for burrows and hairpin curves. Mateo begged to see the donkeys anyway, so we drove. Calls to Mom unanswered in the canyon's dead zones. Milepost 21 hosts Cool Springs Cabins and Service Station, rebuilt 2004. Coordinates 35.1341 degrees north, 113.7696 degrees west. The station's retro sign rattled in thermals. Inside, owner Ned Klein swore 2 teens bought all his spearmint Tic Tacs at 8:06. Security can freeze frame, both in hoodies, each carrying a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket filled with what looked like fresh herbs. Ned observed they hiked towards Sitgreaves Pass Trail, trailhead across the road by guardrail etched with Route 66 shields. He joked they'd spook the burros with their goth cosplay. Mateo's pupils dilated, smelling the empty Tic Tac shelf. He pocketed a shard of cellophane wrapper like it was treasure. We followed the dusty track. Daytime monsoon thunderheads cast violet shadows over black basalt scree. Around 2 clicks in, a stream of mint aroma overpowered the usual creosote smell. Mateo sprinted over a ridge, shouting, "Found you." I topped the rise and froze. Below lay an abandoned concrete highway culvert, part of pre-1937 road alignment, its mouth draped with black, king-size bed sheets, spray-tainted, mint harvest tonight. Inside, LED rope lights glowed aquarium green, illuminating rows of mint in plastic kiddie pools. The hoodie duo knelt, clipping stems, stuffing them into contractor bags. One held a child-sized SpongeBob backpack, the same Mateo wore to school. I yelled. They turned simultaneously, faces featureless, skin white as plaster casts, eyes blank, but reflecting the LEDs like cat eyes. One raised a handheld speaker that emitted the 4-note jingle. The other beckoned Mateo with a dripping leaf. My brother stepped forward, trance-walking. I hurled a rock. It struck the speaker. Music warped to a growl. The cave lights flickered. A sickly sweet solvent smell, pink wintergreen and gasoline, filled the culvert. Taller figure hissed, not vocally, but by exhaling vapor that crystallized on the air like visible breath, though it was 90 degrees. Where the vapor touched basalt, pale moss bloomed instantly. I grabbed Mateo, retreated uphill. An oncoming rumble, Harleys, echoed along the pass. The duo melted into culvert shadow. When 5 bikers from Las Vegas's desert nights rolled up, all they saw was the sheet sign fluttering. We dialed Mojave County Sheriff from their satellite phone. Deputies needed an hour. By arrival, every trace of cultivation was gone. No pools, no bags, only damp sand smelling faintly of Listerine. Ned's security footage vanished after 0810. DVR drive overwrote itself repeatedly, like Dana wiped. Over the next week, Kingman Regional treated 7 kids for hypothermia symptoms, despite triple-digit heat. All chewed gum the strangers had gifted. Park CCTV shows hooded silhouettes shadow walking behind the trees, always carrying plastic bags, always leaving through Mojave Wash. Detective Aaliyah Grant plotted incidents on ArcGIS. Each contact formed a straight-line progression westbound along Old 66, Kingman Park, Cool Springs, Oatman, Golden Shores. If the vector remained constant, the next node would be Needles, California, exit 142, the Wagon Wheel Restaurant. Detective Grant forwarded residue swabs to the University of Arizona chemistry lab. Results indicated a compound similar to synthetic cryoprotectants used in organ transplants, spiked with methyl salicylate for the mint profile, and engineered bacteria carrying antifreeze proteins. Dr. Kaveh Rezai published a brief in Journal of Forensic Toxicology, concluding the mixture could lower soft tissue temperature locally by up to 12 Celsius without inducing frostbite, a perfect agent for quiet abduction. Local mythographers tied the lures to Depression-era folklore of the Mint Men, nomads who sold penny bags of menthol snuff to railroad kids, then vanished with whole orphan trains. Microfiche from the Mojave County Miner, dated April 17, 1932, quotes a sheriff complaining that every March, missing child posters arrived smelling brisk as Christmas candies. I accessed NOAA's surface station logs for Needles Municipal Airport. Dew point it's correlated with unscheduled freight stops on the BNSF. When those trains rolled through, witnesses reported 2 unlisted refrigerated cars painted flat black. No reporting marks except a small green leaf icon beside the brake wheel. Last month, Kingman police emailed a Ring doorbell clip from a subdivision 3 miles off the original story zone. 2 hooded silhouettes glide past camera range. One drops a postcard wedged into the doormat. The homeowner posted the card to Reddit hours later. Sepia photo of Roy's motel sign, captioned, "Get ready for the mint." The post auto-deleted. Account banned for violating terms on illicit materials. Meanwhile, in Phoenix, my brother's pediatrician recorded Mateo's core temperature at 91.8 Fahrenheit, seemingly impossible without organ failure. Yet Mateo runs, laughs, and aces math. He avoids sunlight, claims it melts the tune. Blood tests show anomalously high antifreeze proteins, identical to those in lab samples. CDC team drew vials. Days later, their case number, 22AZ746, reads status, transferred to counter biothreat. I changed my name, took a dispatch job with Arizona DPS so I can track unusual road incidents statewide. Every shift, I scan for calls with keywords mint, cold spot, child, and I-40 mile markers. Patterns align like dashes in the Route 66 shield. The vector moves west a year at a time, repeating the old migration of Dust Bowl families, but in reverse. 2 nights ago, a trucker keyed up on CB Channel 19 near Essex, California. Any of y'all smelling Christmas in July? Got a pair of hitchers in black hoodies walking the shoulder, bags o' greens slung like Santa. The line went dead. CHP found the rig idling at exit 115, cab frosted inside. Peppermint wrappers stuck to the wheel. Last week, en route to Vegas, I detoured through Needles for gas at the Maverick on Broadway. Pump 3 printed a receipt time-stamped 11:11 p.m., though it was only 10:02. Under the total, someone scrawled "Tonight we walk" in green dry erase marker. Mint smoke drifted from the I-40 underpass, curling like steam off dry ice. Every July 5th since Kingman, the National Weather Service logs a localized cold bubble, 10 to 15 degrees below ambient, always tracking west along Route 66 at roughly 3 miles per hour, the speed of a walking child. If the pattern holds, sit at Roy's Motel and Cafe in Amboy next August, around sundown. Order a milkshake, face the salt flats, and wait for peppermint wind. When the temperature drops and the neon letters flicker, listen for the tune. If a stranger in a hoodie offers you leaves brighter than highway reflectors, don't breathe in. Peppermint ice never melts. It waits for your lungs to open.